Did you know that the presence of a father in a child's life plays a tremendously big role on their development and how welcome they feel in this world? It's a lot more than just the mother's presence here that counts. Hi, and welcome to today's video. I'm going to be your host and your facilitator, where we're going to be diving into the impact that a father has on a child's development. So, just briefly, for those of you who are new, my name is Evette Rose, and I'm also best well known for having written this big book called Metaphysical Anatomy, which is a big book of 679 medical ailments, and that's a psychosomatic stress for adults. And yes, we also have the kids version as well. Psychosomatics of children, your ancestry is talking. Are you listening? The impact of a father is tremendous on a child's life. One thing that I personally learned from myself, having a father that was, diagnosed as a sociopath and being a drug addict and an alcoholic, it was tremendously, tremendously stressful to grow up with an individual like that. And one thing that continued to follow me and carry me throughout my life was to feel unsafe and unprotected. Now, this is not just from a woman's perspective. This is something that also comes from males, and not just the role that a father would play in terms of the masculine role, but also the role of leadership, the role of making decisions as well. Now, apart from all of this, when I started to notice this pattern in me, I started to dive a little bit deeper into investigating and listening to other people's stories in terms of the impact that their father also had on their life. And so many people who I've been talking to and connecting to, a lot of them had a very consistent, similar response. And that one is of secure attachment, and at least the lack of development of secure attachments. Because fathers actually contribute to the development of secure attachment and bonding in their children. Now, the mothers would normally show the consistency of the bonding, but how safe a child feels to bond and connect, that can have a huge, huge influence coming from the father's side. Now, why would that be? When we look at our ancestral development and when we look at how people lived in communities, our bodies actually have a biochemical and a biological response to a father figure. It recognizes this is the mother and this is the father. It's almost like there is an engraved program that the father is actually seen as the authority and as the leader, the one who can kick me out and the one who can accept me. That is why, if a father accepts a child, that child will for life feel accepted by the world. So there's kind of like a bit of a seesaw balancing act in terms of how these two end up coming together. Now, of course, if that's absent, then the mother has to compensate for a lot and vice versa. But when we come back to what we're discussing here right now in terms of just bonding, this is very important because even when you look at the communities of our ancestors, right? So if the leader or the father criticized or judged, like that was the final say. There was no other influence that could alleviate a certain decision that was maybe upsetting that was made by a father figure, or if you felt rejected or judged. It's like the sledgehammer effect. Whereas with the mother, it felt maybe less impactful depending on who was more involved, because a father's presence in a child's life also helps them to either embrace or reject their emotions and also the emotional vulnerability. Because traditionally speaking, men were actually often expected to suppress their emotions, right? And to display like a sense of stoicism. However, there is now a growing acknowledgement of the importance of emotional vulnerability and also the need for men to express their feelings openly, but of course in a constructive way. Now, this shift actually allows fathers to cultivate a much deeper connection with their children. Because when you release how you feel, when you release in a constructive way your emotions and what is, as my husband would say, that stone on your heart, when you take that stone off and you express yourself, it creates a more energetic and emotional openness to receive connection. Because when you are in defense mode, I think you can agree with me that it's hard to be in a place of love and to receive, right? You're in the opposite frame of mind. And the only way that we can get out of that defensive state is to let go of what we're trying to protect. And normally that is our vulnerability, that is our sense of insecurities or not wanting to show emotion because maybe it will show weakness. Well, expressing and communicating is not a sign of weakness, it's more a sign of just regulating yourself. So instead of seeing releasing your emotions as a failure or as a weakness, see it rather as a way of regulating your mind, your mental health, and your nervous system so that you can show up in a more balanced way. Because a father's presence also helps with emotional development to a different way, in the sense of where if the father expresses himself and says that it's okay to express your emotions, right? And to regulate yourself, then the child's going to feel safe to regulate themselves as well. It's going to feel safe for them to say how they feel instead of, holding it and then letting it out in an anger outburst, because children are watching us. And children are especially also biologically wired to follow the father's example as well of how we show up in the world, how we project ourselves. And so when a father is actively engaging in like positive and open emotional communication, children will learn to recognize that and to understand that and to manage their emotions also more effectively. And remember what we already touched on just a little bit earlier. There is a biological cellular recognition that the man is the alpha, right? The man is the authority in the house. There is actually a biochemical hormonal resonance that a child responds to in a father, right? A father that is by birth a biological father. There is an actual resonance and a cellular recognition for that. And then, of course, also how you used to respond to that. That's very important to a child's development, right? How the child responds to that cellular feedback, that is critical, because this is like an unspoken language. Now, a father's in presence also helps with cognitive development, because the father child interactions and the involvement, now, if that's positive, that has a huge impact on a child's cognitive development, because it helps a child to confidently engage in activities, to feel that sense of leadership in their own life. Wow, I have this support and this guidance from my father, and it's making me feel, wow, now I can do this myself as well. The alpha, the leader, believes in me, so I must be good at this, right? So there's a very beautiful back and forth dance that takes place in terms of cognitive development as well. And this can be something as simple as reading, playing, problem solving, just exploring the world together. Right. So I see my husband also with my daughter every morning. They're out walking and they're in the jungle, picking things up, and he's explaining things to her about the world, and trying to play games and problem solve and just exploring, right? Helping her to feel safe to just, dive into this beautiful nature that we have here around us, and to feel confident to explore her environment and to feel protected and safe doing so. There's so many fun ways of developing this. And also, fathers often bring a distinct style of interaction, right? Promoting exploration, like to put it like that as well. And like sometimes even risk taking. You know how dads can sometimes be a little bit more rough, they do things with kids and moms. It's like, oh my God. And the dad's like, what's your problem? Right? So it's kind of like helping children to explore their limits, being adventurous and challenging problems instead of seeing a problem as a problem, challenging the problem. Why? Remember, this is all thanks to our ancestry and also the developmental programs that they layered into our DNA lineage and how that is being carried forward as well. Now, another point also here is that fathers help children with gender identity and also the role modeling aspect of it, because fathers play a very, very big role in shaping a child's gender identity and understanding of gender roles as well. So, by providing, for example, like a positive, supportive model of masculinity, fathers influences their children's perception of gender, and it helps them to shape their beliefs, their attitudes, and also their behavior. And this is not just because the father is the father. Remember, there is the cellular program that is constantly communicating back and forth between a father and a child. because a child instinctively, not cognitively, consciously, instinctively look towards the father for how should I behave in certain situations where I have to make a decision, where I have to lead, where I have to step up, where I might have to be the defender. Another role here that a father plays is self-esteem and self-confidence, because a father's involvement and support have a significant impact on a child's self-esteem and also their self-confidence. Fathers who provide encouragement, praise, and guidance, they help their children to develop a strong sense of self, a strong sense of self-worth, a strong sense of self-efficiency, and also believing in their abilities. And this positive influence from fathers can lead to a tremendous increased resilience and also self assurance that the child can have and feeling motivated to explore and to achieve their potential. Why? Remember what I also said earlier. Because, as I said, when a father who is recognized as the alpha male leader, when the leader accepts you, you will feel that you are accepted by the world. So that's what I have for today. Thank you also for all these great questions that you're asking me. And until next time, take care. So guys, there you have it. Also remember to subscribe to my channel, stay up to date. And also I have a free Mac membership website where we have so many courses up there. There's meditations, there's workshops, whatever you need, it's there. There's so many wonderful webinar replays as well that you can benefit from and also to observe and to learn from. Guys, also remember that I have written 18 books. 18, 1-8. And one of many among them are Metaphysical Anatomy and Psychosomatics for Children. So this one is a Psychosomatics for adults. This one is a Psychosomatics for kids. So these books are super popular. People love it. If you want to learn more about how your body works, understanding messages behind it, maybe you have that gnawing pain or maybe an ailment that's surfacing and you want to understand what is it that your body is trying to tell you. Guys, these books are going to be absolutely invaluable to you. You can find it at evettebooks.com, where you will also find all my other 18 books. And guys, also remember to keep asking all these great questions. I love to answer your questions at Ask Evette, where we discuss, life conundrums and, life challenges, and just answer questions perhaps where you feel, quite stuck in your life. I would love to share my perspective with them and to help you to resolve perhaps certain pain points that you might be having in your life as well. So guys, remember to stay in touch. There's so many great things that's happening. And also something really awesome is that this book is already also in video format. So imagine 679 medical elements in video format, and with meditations and healing courses, workshops, masterclasses, everything behind that in our platinum membership site. So guys, remember to check that out. There is so many great things happening there. So see you there.